everyone, on behalf of the Mindalia TV team, welcome to Mindalia live streaming. Today we have the company of Mercedes Guzman in this space that we have called Neuroscience and Your Inner Child. Mercedes Guzman, she is a life coach, the creator of her own technique of therapy. She is a published author and a speaker. Before starting with her, we just want to remind you who we are. We are Mindalia. We are an international non-profit organization, and our mission is to share information that can help raise the level of consciousness in the planet. You can collaborate with us just by liking our content or sharing even with someone that you think that may benefit of the information that we share here on a daily basis. Let's not delay this any further. Let me bring and introduce Mercedes Guzman. Mercedes, welcome to Mindalia. It is our pleasure to have you now in English.
Oh, wow. I am so excited to be with you, Mirna, again. We were in Spanish, Mindalia, the other day, and now we are sharing this information to this beautiful community. And I am very thankful, very, very honored to be here in front of you. And let's have a great conversation.
Yes, we are going to have a great conversation. We already started having a great conversation when we were just talking before airing this space, talking about how you help people, how the technique that you develop has been helping people, and that people are even looking for this type of techniques, this type of knowledge and insights nowadays, even younger, because we tend to think that maybe we need to wait until we have like the midlife crisis to search for help. But you were telling me that even very, very young people are reaching out just to get some help in regards to this. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Exactly. Okay. When we are in our mother's womb, now studies show that 250,000 neurons are being formed every minute, meaning that in 4 minutes, we already have a million neurons being formed in the body of the child and the emotional. And when you are born into a society, into a mother that maybe she had a very hard life, their concepts are passing to you, and you already have neurologically and physically, emotional, and spiritual, and then you are being formed into a life that is not yours. And now Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton have taught us about the neuroscience of the brain and how our inner child is being formed in different areas, like economically, the money, physically, emotionally, and we even are born into the religion that your parents have, the Democrat or liberal, or meaning that you are already set in an environment that is not yours. So when you start questioning, when you are growing up and you are seeing that what they're saying is not in agreement of what you are seeing or what they are saying, you start questioning and you become confused, you become angry, you become worried, and because you don't understand as a child what is going on. And what is start happening is that your brain start associating these things with what the little child know, the little that they know. For example, we were talking about being fearful about getting married, okay? This is something that I have seen in women because we don't know exactly what that little girl accepted when she was growing up. What happened with my mother and my father? What made me think that marriage is a how do you say, a jail, where they put a jail,
Exactly, a prison.
A prison, exactly. Is marriage a place where you are not free of create your own economy? You are not free to be you. You are not free to be the woman or the man that you were created to be. So you see marriage as a prison. And that little girl grew up, or that little boy grew up in that environment. And now that you are an adult, maybe you are already divorced, maybe you are in a marriage and you want to get out and you don't know why. And I have seen this time and time again with women. For example, let me tell you a story. I'm not gonna mention names or nothing. This was a CEO of a company. She was very professional. But the people that she will date were people that put floors, or they were carpenters. Nothing bad with that, okay? They were very handsome guys, by the way. So she will date these guys, but it ended up in a big mess. So when she came to see me, we went into her childhood, and what we saw, because this is the point, the ICL technique that I created is an inner child love process, meaning that I, the adult, can become the coach, the mother and the father of my inner child. It's not like you're gonna become like a child. No, you already you were a child, but that child became broken because of the condition and the circumstances that you grew up and all the drama and trauma that you went through. So the technique that I teach, and when a person comes to see me, I said, I need the adult. I need this person that have already meditated, that have already went to the India and still are having this problem. It's because you have not talked to your inner child. So she came to see me. We went into her childhood, and what happened was that her mother did not work. She was a homestay mom, and her dad was very rich. He will treat her mother like a maid, and she will not respect women. She said when she was 12, I will never allow a man to treat me bad. I will be prosperous and I will have my own business, my own company. So she became that. And guess what? She will attract men that were not making money at the level of her.
Not providers.
No providers, because she became the father. You see, she changed the roles. So she was the one that had money, and she would treat the other ones down. And she was not aware of that, because the subconscious mind is being formed in your first 5 years of your life, like a Bruce Lipton said. Okay, and then from 5 to 10 is just cycles being repeated. And you are an adult and you're repeating those cycles. You know what? I help her. She did her own journey, and now she's very happily married with a very rich guy, and they travel all around the world. Okay, so what is it? Who is governing your reality at the present time? What is your brain telling you about relationship, about money, about your own body? What is your brain? Your neurons are connecting. For example, I always tell my clients, okay, if you are not Salvadorian, you will never guess what is this? Bread with chicken. People say bread with chicken, and they start telling me all that. But if the person is Salvadorian, quickly the brain knows what is that, pan con pavo in Spanish, okay? So, but if I talk to a Mexican and I say chilaquilas, quickly they go, oh my God, or buñuelos. You know, because your brain already know how that food is from your country. But if you don't have any idea of the food of a certain country, your brain will not connect.
You know what comes to my mind? Actually, when you say Thanksgiving and you're immediately drooling because you start thinking about all the food on the table. You're not thinking about the hugs, you're not thinking about the emotional part, but you're thinking about the food that's going to be on the table.
Correct. So this is the same thing with the inner child. The inner child was programmed in a certain way. So when you are in front of life as an adult, you become this crazy person. That's why I entered this world of teaching about the inner child. Believe me, I could be teaching about angels. I could be teaching about, you name it. I study everything. But Myrna, when I was a mother of my fourth child, I was becoming an insane person. I will hit my children, and I will scream, and I became this insane person that if somebody would have filmed me, they would have put me in jail, because what I was doing to my children was not right, Mirna. And I have forgiven myself, but then I had a childhood regression. That's what I do. And oh my gosh, what I saw. My poor mother had it worse, because this healing the inner child is not going to your past and blame your parents. It's not about that. It's understanding why they did what they did to you, so you can teach your inner child to be free and to be healed. Meaning that you go into your brain, and that's what it's called neuroscience and the inner child, is because you go into the past and you understand. For example, I have another example. This is beautiful, okay? This guy suffered of abandonment, okay? Every woman will abandon me. So I become a very hard person, and I push the woman to abandon me. So when we went into his childhood, what happened was that when he was 5 years old, 6 years old, her mother took the oldest daughter and the baby to another city and left him with some friends. The mother told him that he would just take the little baby, not the oldest, that she would leave the oldest daughter with somebody else. When they came back from the trip, he had a worse weekend with that family. It was traumatic. They didn't treat him right. So when the mother come back, she showed him the pictures, and there was his sister. He felt so betrayed at that moment by her mother, and he felt that his mother abandoned him, and he was only 6 years old. When I took him into the past, he saw that the mother could not take him, because she knew that her oldest daughter will take care of the baby, and she will be doing her what she needed to do in the city. And he was super active child that she maybe will lose him in the city. But in his little mind from 6 years old was something that he could not forgive his mother.
Can I ask you something? Yes. The way I'm understanding what you're saying is more of a journey of understanding and compassion. A compassion that probably, unless you are in the, or you have the context and the mind of an adult and that can understand that sometimes we do things that probably our children are not going to understand, we won't be able to understand what our parents did to us. And the other thing that I find interesting is that, you refer to inner child, and we may think that this is something metaphorical, but actually you are referring to the stage, like the biological and the chemical state of our brain in the time in which the wounds were caused. Am I right?
You are so to the point. Okay, you're good. Okay, this is so interesting what you say, because there are triggers in our environment. For example, your husband or your wife ask you something, and that trigger a neuron pattern in your brain that goes to your past, to all the time that he did that, and you react. And the person just tell you, I just answered you. I don't know what I said,
Can I tell you what happens to me? Let's full disclosure here. In my case, if someone asks me, like, where are you going? At what time you think you're gonna be home? Or they kind of ask me some sort of explanation about what my itinerary could be on a certain day, it triggers something disproportionate.
Correct. And you become like, why I did act that way? Why I said what I said?
Who answered? Who was that person?
I was doing a session, and this beautiful girl, she started dating this guy 2 months, and she was already feeling that he will abandon her. And oh my gosh, when we took her into her childhood, she met her dad when she was 7. Now that she has to go to a date with him, it took him 2 hours to get dressed. And then she said that she become this other person. And she doesn't know why she started acting this way. When we went into her childhood, she met her dad when she was 7. He was a married man. Her mother had 2 kids of him. She will dress these girls like they were going to a pageant. And then she would say, just say no, say yes, and just become very educated. And she said that she did that till she was 10 years old. Then after 10, she would go like, F this, I'm not doing that. And she started arguing with her dad. So time forward, she's dating. I took her into her childhood and she saw that the guy that she's dating, it looked like her dad. And she knew that her dad one day will abandon her because he left. So who is running your life? Is a 7-year-old, a 13-year-old? What age is running your relationship, your money issues? Okay, I remember my husband always had a great job. I was a homestay mom because I have 5 children. My baby's 22 now. And I always say, every month we don't have money. Every month we are with no money in the bank. And lo and behold, that happened. Why? Because even though I will see money, my brain will see no money. Why? Because when I was growing up, I was raised at the marketplace. I am from El Salvador, and my parents were the marketers, okay? They were in the marketplace. So I will have an apron after school and will sell food. And I will put the money on my little delantal, apron, pocket. And then at the end of the day, we'll put the money on the table and then we'll give it to mommy. Then I will say, Mommy, can I have some shoes? No, there's no money. Mommy, can I have a dress? There's no money. And I will see money, but my mother will say there was no money. And I believe her. I was a child, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And that programming came into my brain. And then when I was adult, I will say, there's no money. There's no money. And there is laws in the universe, the law of cause and effect, the law of attraction, the law of the power of the word. And you manifest through these principles. But who is running your reality?
Who is creating the script of your movie? I feel that according to what you're saying and a little bit of knowledge that I may have, that maybe we are filtering through that filter of a misconception of a certain situation. Maybe in that case, yes, there was money, but the money was destined towards something, more important, priorities. So in most of the situations, we may be living through some sort of nightmare that it doesn't have a foundation on reality, but on a conception that we made based on a very short context or a very immature mindset. So once you tap into the type of therapy that you, for example, do, what are the results? What happens when someone identifies who's the man running the script, which of my inner children, because I'm not going to say we have one, there's like a whole population of stages, right? How is the life of someone that can identify who's running the show?
Okay, you become more aware and more present. Whatever you do, it becomes exponential. For example, if you start meditating, you become more present. But this is the thing. Okay, let's say this is the glass, and this is your subconscious. And this is an example that they have done. If your inner child went through trauma and drama, and that is stayed there, no matter how much yoga you do, how much meditation you do, how much affirmation you do, if you have not talked to your inner child or see the trauma that you went through, you still will create the same pattern. So
it's like putting perfume without taking a shower.
Exactly. I did that today because I had to run. Okay, I didn't take a shower in the morning and I put, exactly. You're so right about that. So what happened when a person starts waking up to their power? You become more adult. You become a woman, an empowered woman. You can say to a person, if they are trying to minimize you, to your husband or to your woman, I mean, whatever you are, words from the heart, word from your power. You become more in charge of your destiny. You become more in charge of your body. Because if a little child, this has happened to me, my mother became very obese, not obese, but overweight. Okay, so in my brain, my little brain, I will see my mother from when I was 7. I will see her walking me toward the school. The school that I went, they accepted underprivileged kids, and I was one of them. I had the best education. But guess what? Parents will drop off their kids in their car, and or there were buses that will take in the kids. I had to walk toward the school, and I will have a little clothes to clean my shoes. So my mother will bring me, and she will have her apron, her, she was a woman from the marketplace. She didn't dress up or put makeup. And I remember I would go into the back. I didn't want all my classmates to see my mother. And then my eyes caught in my mother's belly. And I was just like, so when I start growing up and having my own children, having 5 children, guess what became very big in me? My belly. Because that inner child was seeing that my mother was a mother. I became a mother. My body will become like my mother and like my grandmother. When I started understanding, I said, no, Merceditas. Mommy didn't know about nutrition. I do. And now I have my own body. Mirna, I do. It's not a perfect body, but it's my body. It's not the body that that little girl was creating. So you become more empowered. You become more present. Whatever you do, exponentiate. You become more wealthy because you have gift. So you start creating your own economy. You have better relationship with your children. You have better relationship with your husband. You have better relation with your people that work with. Because if you're not married or not have children, guess who is going to push your buttons? The people that you work with. Because you are 8 hours with them, and there's going to be a sister there, an auntie there, your dad there, because you are not exempt of not going through the emotions. Even your dog will hurt you. Even your phone will hurt you. You will have a bad relationship with your phone. It doesn't matter. Life will put you back into the cycles. So you become more you. You become an adult.
Mercedes, in a way, the type of decisions that we don't make because we are trying to run away from a certain situation, it's just gonna bring you back regardless of the packaging. It's like whatever decision you make trying to escape a certain situation, it will show up. You don't worry that, as you said, even your dog is gonna push your buttons. Is it easier to heal, for example, with your parents, with your siblings, once you are aware of that situation?
Yes, and this is one thing that I learned, that when you are not happy with your siblings, guess what block in your life is money. Okay, I learned from a doctor, and I thought, oh my gosh. And then I start teaching people about their siblings, and I said, how was your relationship with your sibling? Oh, I don't want to talk to her. I don't want to talk about him. Oh, he brought so much pain into my life, and still. So we're not, okay, when you understand that you guys were in the same boat, that you guys were suffering, and every one of you were interpreting life according of past life, okay? Because every person had their own awareness when we are here. So that's why it can be one event happening in the family and the siblings interpret it differently. Okay, why? Because you already have your character. So something that for your brother was not a big thing. For you, it was. Okay, so if you don't have a good relationship with your sibling and you start healing the inner child, you start seeing compassion. You start feeling compassion for your sibling and understanding them. But that doesn't mean that you will go and have a coffee with them, because they are maybe toxic people. So I teach what is called the scientific prayer when we are doing the inner child work, and we start holding these people in the light. And you don't connect to their problems, you connect with their soul, and you bless them. And eventually, 10 years from now, you will see that your siblings are all loving to you. And you don't know what happened. But it's because you start healing your inner child. Yes, your siblings can heal, your mother can heal, but it's not your purpose. Healing your inner child is not to heal others. It's to understand what went through you, and then you honor your parents living your own life, not their life.
It seems like, although it's not the purpose, it's like an inevitable result. Along the way, through time, you're going to start seeing that whatever reaches you, it's going to have that energy of plenitude.
Correct. And it took me years to understand this. I went through my own process with my own mother. I didn't want to talk to her. I felt that she would judge me right away. So it is a process. That's what I call inner child love process, because it doesn't happen right away. But if you are healing your inner child, you will see the changes in you right away. You will see, oh, here you comes, my beautiful 7 years old. Let me explain to you. One of the things that we didn't have was to have a normal childhood. We couldn't play. Okay, we had to work from Sunday to Sunday and go to school. And my mother, because she never went to school, she will say, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I will get you out of the school. And for me, school was my safe haven. Okay, so for me, it was like, I didn't know what I was doing, but I would be like, whatever. So I didn't have a normal childhood. We were working all the time. And if we go to play, it was with guilt. What am I doing? What am I doing wrong? Okay, so I have my children, and guess what? When my husband will sit with the children to watch a movie, you will see me like this. And I will not sit with them. And I will say, why are they sitting? And I am working. And it was my inner child that could not sit. When I understood this, I would say, Merceditas, I would call her my little Mercedes. Let's sit down, my love. Let's watch this movie. It's okay. So you start talking to your inner child like, are you talking to a real person? Yes, you will see crazy. I don't care. This technique works when you start talking to that part of your brains, those neurons that have fired up, and you start saying, it's okay. We can relax. Now I can wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning and watch a good movie, and I don't feel guilty.
It's something very interesting that you're bringing up, and it's guilt. It looks like this is like a companion that's always with us. For some reason or another, at a certain point through our life, we felt guilt for something, maybe for playing, maybe for not doing whatever responsibilities or chores we had or we were supposed to be doing. How do we get rid of that? How do someone that is 40, that is 50, and have that burden of guilt? What would you say to someone with that problem?
Okay, emotions are there to be felt, but when they go off the roof, that is your inner child. You always can feel guilty because maybe you didn't show up to your friend's party. But if you feel like you did something wrong and that you cannot talk to her because you're feeling that she will judge you, that is your inner child. So when you start realizing that I am going over roof with this, it's awareness. De Mello, he was Anthony De Mello. He wrote a book. Oh, you're amazing. Okay. Anthony de Mello, he wrote a book called Awareness, Awareness, Awareness. Okay. When, right now, we are in the digital technological era. You can see all the videos, Mindalia, okay? All these amazing people. You learn and you learn and you learn and you learn, okay? But if I am not aware that I am learning this, but then I react this way when I learn how to tap, how to do this, that means that I'm not putting attention to my inner child. My inner child is running my show. So it doesn't matter if you're 40, if you're 50, if you're 20, if you start putting attention to your inner child, eventually you will feel more in charge. And I'm talking by experience. I didn't feel in charge. I even let my kids run my life. You imagine that I would call, because I have 5 children, my 4th child, I still call him Mauricio. That's my brother's name. That's how messed up my brain was, that I had so much fight with my little boy. Like, you cannot believe it. Oh, and then I start realizing my Merceditas from 10 years old will fight always with my Mauricio because he was a pest. Okay, poor thing. But then I realized, no. So the moment that we start realizing who is running my show, why these emotions are going over the roof. Just recently, I had a wake up call myself. I'm not going to go into details, but I was just like, oh, and I was blaming my husband. Okay. And this happened 15 years ago, and I was still commenting with my friends, and I would make him feel bad. And then I realized, oh my gosh, that was a cycle that happened to me when I was 12. And then I was demanding from my husband something that my mother didn't give me at that moment. And it made me feel so shameful. My husband couldn't. He was empty as me. Oh, it was a huge, beautiful realization. Oh my God, I closed that cycle, Myrna.
That is amazing when you say that you were expecting for your husband to give you that thing that you were not able to get when you were 12, that your mother didn't give you. But it looks like we are on that same pattern all the time. We are always wanting for other people, other relationships, other assets even, to give us what we are not giving to ourselves. When we listen to that inner child, to that inner teenager, to that inner baby, that is a way of attending or to supplying a need that wasn't supplied at a specific time in our lives?
Correct. And that's the technique, is to understand that there is no mother, father, siblings. It is you that are blaming yourself or getting angry or getting upset. It is in your laps now to go back and tell that little girl, that little boy, that he is enough, that he belongs, that he deserves everything that he needs, because we live in an abundant universe, that we live in a world where we can create from our center, that we are beings that have lived millions and millions of lives, or we have come into this existence, that we will maybe go back into another world, that we are powerful creators. If that little boy, little girl knows that, I promise you that your life will expand. My life has expanded. And I, every day, have like 5 or 6 people that I see every day, Myrna. And the joy that I have to see that they are like, oh my gosh, I have not seen that before. Oh my, now you have a choice. Now you have a choice to live the life that you deserve. And that's my mission. In this time and space, my mission is that everyone can feel love, can feel forgiveness, can feel compassion. And nobody can do it, only you.
You know what I also feel as I listen to you is that maybe we can even give that inner child the opportunity to cry, to throw a tantrum, because we live in this world in which every time we see someone crying or someone in distress, please don't cry, stop crying. How many times? All you need is just to cry, to let all that out, right?
And I love that you say that, because I always tell my clients, I say, cry with consciousness, and say to that little or little boy, it's okay to cry. It's okay to cry. And I am so happy that you're crying. And you cry with your inner child. And you cry your own tear with your inner child. It's beautiful. This process of healing your inner child, I recommend it to everyone. There is not that many people that just focus on the inner child, but there is people around the world that can help you. If not, you can call me.
Mercedes, this sounds beautiful, and I bring back what we said earlier. We are not talking about a metaphorical inner child. We are actually talking about a biological, chemical stage of your brain in which certain patterns are established. We can go there and we can, I don't know, make it better. We are being joined in this conversation, Mercedes, because we are doing this simultaneously through our YouTube channels. We are in our Facebook and different platforms, Twitch, the VK, Von Life. And as always, we have people that are with us all the time, and we have questions. The first question is being made by Janet Woodworth. She is a regular friend of ours. She's actually in Idaho in the United States, and she's telling us the following. When I was around 7 years old, my mom came home crying, and she was talking about my dad. I thought my dad physically abused and went to hide under the bed. After many years, I found out my mom saw my dad with another woman. It was my issue now not to trust men, and I have problems finding a good one. What can we say to Janet?
Janice, the way that you can break this pattern is talking to your inner child. How you talk to your inner child, okay? So this is what I do, okay? You can sit in a place where nobody is going to interrupt you, and you can use a technique to get you into alpha level. I teach the silva method, and you go 333 222 111. You take a deep breath and you say, what is your name?
Janet.
Janet. Janet, and you call your inner child at that age. Okay, come, sweetie. Come sit with me. Come. And then you let her cry with you and say, it's okay. We are not there anymore. Mommy didn't know better. Daddy didn't know better. They were two children hurting. They were hurting so much that they could not see that they were hurting you. But I will protect you. You can trust me that I will help you. So that's the first step that you can do. Talking to your inner child and saying they didn't know better, because it's true. Our parents didn't know better. We thought that they knew better, but they didn't. They were broken. So that's the first step, Janet. That's how you can start connecting with your inner child. And there's so much information on the website, so you can start really reaching out for that inner child, and you can become the adult that you deserve to be and have that companion that is waiting for you, or you can release the one that you have and attract the one that you deserve.
Thank you for that answer. Edna is also asking us a question, and it goes as follows. When we feel guilty for saying no to friends or family members when they ask us to do something we can't do or don't want to do, does that guilt comes from our inner child? Thank you.
Okay, great questions, okay? Because we have been taught that we have to please everyone, okay? It's a society of pleasing. Everything has to be done right now. So we are programmed to say yes. But many times we have read more and more that it's okay to say no, okay? And that's what I was telling you. You are going to feel some kind of guilt, okay? But when I cannot sleep because I say no, I feel, oh my God, I said no. Oh, what is she going to say? Oh my God, next time that she asks me and then I say no. And then you start creating this story around saying no. That is your inner child. And you say this, okay? You say, what age of me is feeling guilty? And quickly, I promise you, the inner child will show up. Oh my gosh, my Merceditas, when I start talking to her, she shows up like that and tell me stuff. Okay, so you can ask your inner child, why am I feeling this way? Yes, go ahead.
I'm listening to you as per what I've heard before. It looks like it may take a little bit longer when you start doing it, but for what I see, for you, it's something that happens very fast. You have trained yourself to identify it, right?
Definitely, yes. And it's a process. It's a process. Once you start talking to your inner child, that little girl, that little boy will tell you information that you could not think about it. And you will go like, oh my gosh, I never thought this way. That's where I got this information. So next time you're going through something hard, stop, talk to your inner child and say, okay, Mirnita, tell me, why are you feeling this way? What is going on? Tell me. And your inner child will give you a memory, will tell you something, and it's amazing because you go directly to the root. And the brain is just amazing.
Definitely something worth exploring. Mercedes, let me tell you that we have reached the end of our conversation. I feel that this went super fast, but of course, before we leave, it is your chance to give us your closing thoughts.
Okay, life is beautiful. Life is willing to give us everything that we want. And you maybe have created great abundance, a relationship, and still don't feel fulfilled. I invite you to connect with that part of you, that inner child, that beautiful little boy or little girl that is waiting behind a door, or maybe it's under the bed, or maybe it's in a corner crying. I invite you to reach out, invite him into your reality. And that moment that you invite that inner child into your reality, you're going to have a gift from heaven, because that little boy, that little girl have knowledge and talents that when you start reaching out for her, your life will become an amazing and blessing life for you and for others. So let's connect with our inner child every day, forever and ever.
Forever and ever. Thank you, Mercedes. Of course, before leaving, we just want to remind the people that have been watching us that Mindalia is an international non-profit organization that you can collaborate with us, liking our content. You can share this video with someone that you think that may benefit of what we've been discussing here today. You can subscribe to our channels, follow us in our different platforms. You can even donate in our website, www.mindalia.com. When you do that, you are just helping us reach as much people in the planet as possible, and you are helping us create more content like the video, like the conversation we had today with Mercedes Guzman. Having said that, we have nothing else to say, but once again, thank you, and we hope to see you very soon in another live streaming. See you soon.